Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back for another round of the Tier 1 Championship here in PAR. It's 5 rounds in the season now. I'm now starting to get a bit of an idea of what the Championship battle is going to shape up to look like by the end of it. As I think notable absence of Sleek Mover not being here this week again. It's going to give Tom a massive chance to start making up some ground in the Drivers' Championship. And it will be interesting to see what results he can pull after quite a strong showing last time out in Coda. Winning the race quite comfortably, but the key factor this time is there's much better attendance. So he's going to have a lot more drivers to compete with. I've no doubt that the pace will probably be the same, but whether or not he's going to manage to get away from everyone as quick is another thing. I think the first car to cross the line to start a lap is going to be Philo in the Haas, so it's right on board with that lap as he's getting the DRS wide. He's had the ERS enabled before the final two corners to get that extra bit of momentum starting the lap. Bringing it to 100 meter boards, clipping that inside curb, which on this game you can use quite a lot of, but although it does come with a bit of risk and reward as you can upset the car. He's keeping nice and tight to the left now, braking around the 100 meter board. He's going down in the second. It's interesting, some drivers like to avoid second for that corner, but Phil has opted to get the lower gear for more rotation, as that first sector seemed pretty clean. As we come down into turn 4 now. I don't know if it's turn 4 or 5, to be completely honest. I think it's turn 4. But he's keeping nice and tidy. No slip-ups, no moments so far in this lap from the Haas driver. So usually one of the quicker drivers in the tier. But as he comes round the penultimate corner, he's taking just a little bit of the inside curb. He's clipping the inside curb again for the final turn. And just runs right out. So 103.9 start proceedings off. It's not a bad lap time by any means. And he does a bit of... He's just on the Lando Norris seemingly. As Runner gets a 104.3. That's a mediums. Maldi on a 105.6 on mediums. Tier 2 driver reserved in the AlphaTauri today. Charlie, I think, has done a prep lap. He's done a 120. He was right on board because I think he's doing another consecutive push lap. Maffio in the Alfa Romeo is 104.5, but he's on mediums as well. Runnard and Maffio both putting up pretty strong times for medium runners, as they're beating the likes of Packer and Spenny, both on softs. It's be interesting to see the spread and strategy now as we get into this race. Because even in the qualifying we're seeing different compounds being used. And I don't think I have game audio. Oh, there we go. Game audio's back now. Seemed oddly silent. Charlotte was almost flat in his ERS battery, so he's going to be getting a lot less power than he'd really be looking for. So 104.2, it puts him P3 in the run-in so far, as we'll look now. Silent Pistol coming around the final turn. He must have been validated at the moment, but he's going to abort that lap into the pit then. Dino Oaks now coming around turn 4 on his lap. He's looking to set a lap on the mediums, although for some reason the timing sheet says softs. Not too sure what the crack is with that, but I mean, we can quite evidently see he is on the medium compounded tyres. Probably going to be a bit slower than some of the soft runners, since now they seem to be getting some solid times on the board. We can see if he can try and get close to maybe the likes of Tom and ride on those other medium timed laps. As he comes across line 104.8, it's only good enough to get him P9. It's probably not where the AlphaTauri drivers maybe going to be wanting to be. As we ride on board, I think Maldi's going to be pitting. Is there anyone else going to cross the line? The Alpine is not pushing. Packer is not pushing. Dyno's on his in-lock, so he's watched his overlap when Callum's coming into the pits. So there's not too much action really taking place at the moment on track. You can go aboard with this Alpine, I think starting this lap, might have done a little bit of a prep lap there on that 7 meters, maybe validated his first run. And as we ride on board, taking a lot of the curve, being upsetting the car a wee bit as he does have to make a correction on the corner exit. As we see what this first sector is going to be, as 100 meter boards braking. And it's only a 16.2, which it's not a bad first sector, but it's not great either. As the Ferrari is trundling around the outlap there. I think that's silent pistol. He's keeping nice and tidy, taking all of that curb on the exit. As his sector 2 time is going to come through at a 45.1. I have no clue what the individual sector timing would have been for that, but he is improving on his previous lap time. He's going to hope to look to maybe get up and split some of the other medium runners as he comes round the final corner. Very easy to run wide and validate there, but he keeps between the white lines. That's a 104.6. Actually, I think he did invalidate there. It's not what the Alpine driver would have been wanting. Just look on board with Artie now. He set his original lap, just testing out track setup on his medium, or not mediums, intermediates. I think there's a bit of a difference between them tyre compounds. Just watching where his lap, he's 5 tenths up on his first sector. He's already going to be massively up on the overlap just due to the fact it was on mediums. I missed out on his first sector timing, but we should be able to catch what his second sector will be, as he takes a lot of the entry curb. There are some drivers that opt to not take that entry curb, so often you can take maybe too much and bomb out the car a little bit. Just keep it nice and close to that inside curb, so if you touch it can be pretty scary. And 44.7, I think that's a really solid first or second sector, so you could be looking to maybe get up into the top 3 as you come round the last 2 turns. It's cutting the inside, oh, and it's right on the limits on that last turn. Actually thought he'd invalidate there for a second, but it's going to be P3 for the McLaren man, and he was pushing the limits, just getting right out, using every last inch he could in that exit curb. As I said, that was silent pistol, tier 2 driver, reserving in tier 1 day, and he's up into P5. Runner set an overlap, he's up in 103.9, but that's his second run of qualifying. Cornell just goes and sets fastest 103.7. You see the track evolution coming into play now as the track times are really ramping up. And I have to say, Austria is probably one of the best qualifying tracks on this game, because the track just gets so active with the track evolution. There's so many cars out. I think right now we have 15 out of the 18 total cars in lobby out on track. It was right, I think Charlie Ark invalidated his run there. And Pistol is not on a push lap. Mafio is on a push lap. I think no, he's not. He's not pushing. The half driver's not pushing. Maldi's not pushing. And it's seemingly impossible to find anyone who's actually doing a push lap at this current moment in time. As we look at Callum just starting his lap, he's on a 104.2 at the moment. Missed out a little bit on that inside curve, which a lot of drivers wanted to just aim for. It's a little bit of toe up the main straight, and he's only slightly up on his original first sector. Misses the apex up into turn 3. It's already not seeming like it's going to be the best of lap times for the Red Bull driver. As he comes down, it's past the Mercedes parked on the inside of the corner. He's going to take just a small amount of that exit curb, not opting for the same amount that some of the other drivers were trying to take. He's taking a very tight line through turn 6. And again, he's running a little bit wide there on the apex up into turn 7. I didn't quite catch his sector time, but I think he could maybe look to push, hopefully, towards the 103s as we come round the last turn. Keeps it nice and tight within the white lines. That's going to be a 104 flat. So he just about breaks the top 10. But a lot of these lap times right now are all really, really, really competitive. As Philo now, I think, starting the lap. He has a bit of a moment as he takes too much curb and he's going to abort the lap. It's too much of a moment for the Haas driver there coming out of turn 1. Abort with this Alpine again. I think he is on the push lap. His third lap now he's done so far, but he's opting for a softs now instead of the mediums. Currently the slowest posted lap time on track. 105.0. He's the second off of P8. It's really not where the Alpine driver is really going to want to be at this current moment in time. The yellow flags, as I think that's Phil just getting out of the way of another driver. As we come down into the final 2 turns, takes a lot of the entry curb. Actually clips maybe a bit more of the inside curb than he would have wanted to. Runs right out to the white line. That's only a 104.3. It's not been a great qualifying for the Alpine driver so far. And someone else who hasn't set a lap so far, Side FX, as Cornell and the Williams takes a bit of pirouette in his out lap. It's interesting, but Side FX has yet set a valid lap time. So go back on board with Dino Oaks. He set his medium lap for 104.8, but he's now back out on the track looking to set a competitive lap time on the softs as he comes around the final 2 turns. It's going to be interesting to see where this AlphaTauri driver can put himself right now, not in the best position in P15 16, but he raises himself only up to P10, so 104.1. And this tier 1 grid at the moment is looking really, really competitive with the lap times at the top. Let's find another driver doing a push lap. Who have we got? I think the Stefan. I've not seen him racing in here before. I think he's one of the newer drivers. He's going to come around to finish his fast lap. And P13, see where he's going to be able to raise himself up to as he is improving, but he doesn't validate. I think he moves around a bit too far wide there on the final corner. I think Tom's starting to fly, and this is going to be one of the laps to watch, I think. Tom last week, pole position. I think he led almost every lap of the race quite comfortably. It's going to be interesting going in the main race, whether he can do that again today and look to make some ground up in the Drivers' Championship. It's a 15.9. That's a really solid first sector, and he is improving already. Only a tenth and a bit between him and P1. I think it was about a half tenth on his first sector. Taking a lot of that entry curb there. I think that's the most I've seen any of the drivers take so far, but he just has a bit of a moment on exit. I wonder whether that's going to cost Tom in the long run in this lap. So it looks like he just had the car just get away from him almost. But it's still quite a decent lap time. He's only down marginally. He might be able to make something up in the last couple turns. As he's going to go full push through this last section. And he runs right out to the white lines again, as most drivers are, and that's a 103.6. Still an improvement, but it's not going to be enough for Tom to get on the P1, which is going to be where he wants to be. He's one of the faster drivers in the tier. He's going to want to be commanding that P1 position and fighting for pole every race weekend. As Philo is reversing on the grass. I think we've caught him after having a bit of a skill issue there. Second time Phil spun out that corner now. Looks doing his best Lando Norris impression. But he's going to find someone else on a hot lap. Alpine is not burning. Once again, just calm down a bit in track. Side FX is going to look to set his first lap time of the session. A 16 flat in the first sector is not a bad sector time. He does not use as much of the exit curb as a lot of drivers really aim for. So he might just be trying to keep it a little bit safe, as he does need to get a lap time on the board, rather than maybe pushing to actually go for the top end of the field. But to come down the lap, my brain's not Englishing, so I'll try and gather myself there. He's going to come round and set a 104 flat. which is a really solid time, but it's only P12. That's a testament to how competitive this Tier 1 grid is this season. I mean, even with Tier 2's reserving, there is, for the most part, less than a second separating pole and everyone else, apart from Packer. Bro's done 5 laps on a set of softs. I think he thinks it's a practice session. But if we go on board with Cornell on his push lap, didn't see his sector 1. But he's going to be looking to try and get that 10th they should have in his lap to try and dethrone runner from P1. I was just going to say, in the actual T-Pod cam, as Packer's retired, best lap only a 1:04.8. It's not been a great qualifying session for the Mercedes driver. It's not what we love to see as the Co-Academy TP for Mercedes, but it is what it is. As Cornell just aborts that lap time, and I don't think he's going to have enough time to come back out. As with Cryptic, I think he's done an extra prep lap. He's going to start his final flyer of the qualifying session. It looks like a lot of drivers are only doing their prep laps to come out now. Some of them have started their laps, as Cryptic keeps it nice and clean through turn 1. Takes a bit of the curve, but I don't think it unsettled the car too much. As look, this sector 1, 16.1, he's a 10th down, so he has lost a little bit of time. He's now going to need to push to try and find that 2 tenths he's going to need to try and get runnered off of the top spot, as Tom is back out in track as well. He is not settling for P2. It'll be interesting whether he's going to be able to find that. I think it's 600ths in that lap time, which I think he definitely has, because as we've seen in that previous lap, he had a big moment in the turn 4. But if we I'm just going to watch Cryptic's last sector, and then we're going to jump straight on board with Tom to catch the rest of his lap. Oh, Cryptic goes off the track. I think that's going to be an invalidation. That will be an invalidation. That's not what the Merc would have wanted to see there. I think he was on to make a small gain that lap time, but someone making the gain is going to be Tom in the Alfa Romeo. Coming out of sector 1, he had that gain already. We know he's going to make a massive gain out of turn 4 because he had that big moment on that other lap time. He's only up by 0.02 of a second though, coming out of sector 2. So it's not. It looks like he might not be able to get pole position. As we come round the final corner, and he's invalidated, so it's not going to be pole position this week for Tom in that Alfa Romeo. And even with the invalidation, he would have been just a small bit off of runner than the Aston Martin, who set quite an impressive lap time. And it's probably one of the better qualifyings we've had this season, as a lot of drivers all really close together. I mean, the gap from P16 to P1 is 5 tenths. Like that, the field spread is mad. It's all really close together. As everyone else comes into the pits, I think, yeah, Dino's not pushing, so I'm just going to take a moment to attempt to hydrate myself, and hopefully I won't have as many skill issues trying to commentate. Right, so we're done with hydrating myself. So hopefully, I should have a good race in store. It's looking, it was already looking incredibly close in qualifying, and Austria is a track that's notoriously close for racing, just because of how short the lap time is. There's just not that much time to really separate people. And I think there was actually, rain was scheduled for that qualifying session, though we didn't really see any. But maybe the rain might come in the next session. But look at the qualifying order. We've got an Aston Martin 1-3 as runners mate both putting good laps in. Tom in the Alfa Romeo, probably going to be one of the championship contenders this season. He's going to be in P2. As Phil was saying, Packer had to ruin it, which, no disrespect to Packer, it is a bit painful when everyone could have been that close together and then just the one outlier. As we look at the championship going into this race now, just before the start, because I think I'm going to have to waffle to try and fill up that 30-second delay. We have Sleek was winning after Coda. I mean, Sleek's just, he's an alien, let's just be real. What he won the first 3 races was still 15 points clear. Hasn't risked Coda, hasn't risked this week. It's going to be interesting to see what drivers can make up ground on. If Cryptic can pull a decent result and maybe get a podium today, he's going to be able to jump Sleek in the driver's standings. Runnard as well, equal in points for Cryptic and starting in pole position. He's going to look to make the most of this opportunity to gain those points, which could be all valuable come the end of the season. Especially with how competitive this grid is looking to be, any sort of point margin could be massive. With Charlie Ark there in P4. Interesting one would be Tom. Only in P9, but he has missed 2 races. He won last time out. About 34 points off of the championship lead at the moment. As we're having a massive delay waiting on the lights to go out, and hopefully we won't have the glitch tier 2's experience yesterday. I know a number of leagues have been having that safety car glitch off the start, as EA Server Sad has joined. I think they may or may not be in for co-coms. I have no clue though. But as the lights out and away we go. That was a very quick transition there, but Runnard gets a really good start, and Spenny looks to try and put a bit of pressure on the outside. Tom isn't able to, and there's a lot of ghosting as Phil is off the track in the turn 1. There's a lot of movement already as the Haas drivers lost a couple of positions. Nice and clean though so far, as that's Maldi I think was looking for a move at the back of the pack there. But Runnard maintains P1. Spenny has dropped position to Cryptic. Spenny now down in the P4, and Cryptic is up into the podium places, which is where he's going to look to be. Cornell's made a massive dive on Spenny. Spenny gets the move back on him. That was nearly quite the move from Cornell in the turn 4. But now he's come back out into sector 3. Runnard has got a 3/10 gap to the car behind. As we look at the tyres now, we've got Runnard, Cryptic, Cornell and Ardy all on top 6 on hards. Everyone else in Phil and Matthew are on hards as well in the top 10. Everyone else top 10 is running mediums. So a bit of a strategy contrast, as Runnard has opted to underfuel the car, so I think he's going to be expecting a safety car at some point during this race. And he's got Tom N already all over the back of him as he moves to the outside, and he's going to clear him before the braking zone. And that is Tom N into the lead of the race already. He has burned a little bit more ERS than Runnard has, but the Alfa Romeo has plopped himself up onto the top step and already got 3/10 gap. So he's not wasting any time just trying to cut up to the front of the field. And it's going to be interesting to see whether or not he's going to be able to pull a bit of a gap now and may actually look to start pushing before we get to DRS. Runnard's still on 94% DRS. He is not really looking to burn anything this early on in the race, especially with underfueling the car and being on an alternate strategy. As Cryptic behind him, 3/10 now. As we look, Phil and the Alpine of Kai Kiwi or whatever, Kai. I'm just going to call him Kai. We're not going to try and pronounce whatever that monstrosity is at the end of his name. But he overtakes Phil in the Haas, and it's not been a good start for the Haas driver, I've just looked positions lost on lap 1. Phil already's got 3 seconds. It's a nightmare start for him. Tom is up 1 position. I think not too many positions being gained. So the most positions gained is 2 from a number of drivers, and then the Haas of Ladamala has lost 5 positions, but everyone else is pretty similar. Silent Pistol is up in the P6, and that's a solid drive, so solid start from, oh Jesus, as commentators curse, as Artie and Silent have both come together, and we really was not a great camera angle to see what has taken place there. As Cody's usually not great, as Tom is burning massively already, down to 6% DRS. Runner's burned half his barrier to keep with him, but he is going to have the DRS. I'd imagine Runner's just going to sit behind Tom until those mediums fall off. He won't necessarily need to push for position unless he gets put under pressure from Cryptic, but 3 of the top 4 are all in Mercedes Academy, so I'd imagine they won't want to put each other under too much pressure, cost anything. As Phil, now within a 10th of Kai in the Alpine, looks for that move up the outside, doesn't get it, he goes for switchback, and seems to get a bit twitchy on the throttle. He's not going to be able to make the move out of turn 3, but he's going to try and take the long way round into turn 4. We've seen this end badly IRL a number of times. It goes a lot cleaner than it has done in previous IRL races, as Phil is still on that inside line for the next corner. He's going to keep the position. It's a brilliant move there from the Haas driver, although he does have a 3 second, and it actually drifts a little bit wider. I think he might have just clipped the grass on corner entry, but Kai not able to capitalise on it. As we look behind now, Charlie Ark in the other Alpine starting to get all over the rear end of Mafio, as we just look for penalties so far in the race. 2 drivers for 3 seconds, Mafio and Philo. Side FX is going to get quite close to the back of the Red Bulls, actually nearly touching the Red Bulls rear diffuser coming through turn 1. As Side didn't have the best of qualifying, he's going to look to make that up now, up in the P11. And will he look through? He's not going to be close enough this time around, but if you look back up in front, we're starting to be a bit of a colossal battle starting to happen between Phil and Kai. The more notable thing about this battle is it is creating a massive gap between this train of cars, as, oh my, what a move from Phil. He doesn't quite make a stick, but he is going to have the inside line again. I'm seeing the experience from Phil there, as he's positioned his car very well, and always thinking seemingly a corner ahead of the Alpine driver. I honestly did not think he was going to try and stick that long around. He's a bit of a moment though on that exit curb, as the car does get a bit loosey-goosey on the rear, and Kai not able to do anything again. Phil really struggling at the exit sector too. As we look to the cars in front, Cryptic now has overtaken Runnard, and he's going to be within DRS of Tom, who has started recharging, but he's still at a disadvantage with that ERS. As we come up through turn 2, you can look up into turn 3. Cryptic is going to be alongside, and he hits the apex. That's a little bit of contact between the Alfa Romeo, as Phil has now dropped 2 positions behind. We have to round and board with battle now for the lead, as Cryptic gets ahead into the braking zone, and that's going to be Cryptic up in the P1 of this race. 6 laps in, Tom, although he made the move for the lead early, has not been able to maintain it, and I think the hards might be starting to pick up a little bit over those medium compound tyres that Tom's opted for off the start. And it's going to be interesting now, Runnard, he's been saving his ERS, he's not been wasting any resources he has. Is he going to now look to start putting Tom under a bit of pressure? So imagine Cryptic might look to back them up a bit, as it stands right now. It could be a huge result for the Mercedes Academy, as, oh my, Runnard has gone actually off the track. He's outbraked himself a little bit in turn 1, takes the escape road. So he's not going to be able to look at Tom on this lap. He's now dropped behind his teammate. Still a good enough gap to the train behind, currently being led by Mafio in the Alpha. As Phil goes off the track, he has to take a void in action, and he does get 3 seconds for it, and that is unfortunate. I'd imagine if he doesn't get any more warnings, he's going to get that one removed. There's not really much he can do there. He's taking the void in action. and the game's going to penalise him for it because shit game. There's not really much more to add to it. But Charlie Hart now is getting really close to the back of his teammate. Again, this top three really close together. And there's no really outliers at the moment in the field, apart from, I think, Silent Pistol's 3.7 behind on his own, but that's only because he's had an instant, may or may not have a little bit of damage. But as we now come on the lap 8 of this race, the mediums should definitely be starting to die off a little bit, but Tom is right up the rear, almost touching the rear diffuser of Cryptic in the Mercedes. Cryptic's going to be vulnerable as Tom has recharged, he has the DRS wide open, and Cornell might actually try and take advantage as well, as he does. Looks for a move up the inside, gets the car up the inside, but it's now going to be 3 wide on the exit of turn 3. It's a colossal battle for lead. Tom gets through, manages to get the lead for now, but Cryptic's going to get the DRS. He's going to come back down the inside in the turn 4, and Cornell goes up the inside. That was a really, really risky move from the Williams driver, and it might just work out. Tom just gets the inside line, just gets the better car position for the next turn, but I think he might have had a bit of a moment. He might have been a bit too tentative with the Williams, as he has let the Williams back around the outside. And around the outside through turn 7, that's not a move you see very often. It's a very impressive move from the Williams driver. That now gives Cryptic a little bit of breathing room in turn 1 now, as he has the Williams driver behind him. Tom's going to be looking to try and get back up towards the front. And Spenny and Runner now, both just, imagine there's going to be a little bit of team play coming in this. I don't imagine they're going to be battling too much, but they will both be coming back into play in this battle in the top 5. I'm seeing some really, really good racing from the tier 1 grid today. Was it back on board the front again? Just can't take your eyes off this action, as Cornell's going to have the DRS. He's going to gain massively on Cryptic, who's not burning. He's not going to look for a move this time around. Tom is not close enough behind to get moved, and there's the yellow flags behind. And who's gone round? I think it was Silent Pistol again. He's showing some promising pace, especially for being a tier 2 driver reserved in tier 1, but he's just not able to keep himself out of trouble today. As for yellow flags again, it's Artie and Callum this time. As Artie having another incident there at turn 4. It's really not his favourite turn on the track, seemingly. But Callum, who's having a decent race so far, is not going to be happy with getting caught up in that incident. But if you look back towards the front again, Cornell on the back of Cryptic, this time seemingly a lot closer than he was on the previous lap. And just look at this train of cars on the main straight. Cryptic's going to be vulnerable. But is Tom going to be close enough to get the move done in the turn 3? He's not going to look for it. He thinks Barry's going to wait until he can get that DRS open to turn 4. But I think Cornell's going to be the one without DRS this time. As Artie's out of the session, that is in the pit lane. Tom not able to make any gains this lap. But as we look down at the battles behind, Kai is going to try and get towards the back of his Alpine teammate, not going to be close enough this time around. I see Packer fan making the move on Maldi in the AlphaTauri. Another tier 2 reserves doing pretty decent so far, up in the P14. I think he started P17. It's not a bad drive from the AlphaTauri drivers. Cornell is going to concede the lead to Cryptic. I don't know if there's a bit of academy play coming in there. It seems like, unless Cornell had a moment, that seems like he's just waved him by. Unless maybe he just wanted the DRS in turn 1, but Tom, he's recharging. He's going to be licking his lips at this fight in front, as there's a VSC, as Callum has gone round out of the exit sector 2. I think Silent might have had a bit of a moment as he's coming into the pits. I'm not too sure what the actual incident was to bring out that VSC, as I can't... Oh, that will probably be the cause of it. Charlie Ark has no wing. I think he might have been caught up with an incident, as Kai's still up in P6, so I don't think it's with his teammate. But he has had a seemingly big crash. He's lost wings, brought the debris out. And they're going to have to get a VSC just to clear up that debris. But my mind is blanking on certain words. But as it stands, look at the tyres. Actually, the VSC's ending already, as the DRS is enabled again. There are 10 laps in this race. the mediums are going to have to start feeling the after effects of this wear. Spenny and Tom are probably both going to be feeling that tyre wear coming into play. I think the first cliff will probably be around now, 12 laps in, 11 lap old tyres. I think the mediums can go, realistically, they're probably going to go about 16 laps. They're going to maybe pit around then if they're going for conventional medium hard. If they want to extend, I don't really think they would extend, but if they were to, maybe lap 20. But I'd say chances are they're going to be pitting around lap 16 and going for the hards, maybe even earlier. But as Cornell is going to put Cryptic under pressure, and Tom's going to try and insert his way into this battle. Doesn't make any gains out of it this time, as Cornell's back up in the lead of this race again. And there's big moves being made behind. It's this massive 4-car battle. Matthew gets up in the P7 for now. It's like he looks for, I think, a bit of switchback there. Doesn't get it. It's a very hard move to pull off into turn 5. But Matthew goes for it. Doesn't quite work out for him. As we come back around again. This 5-car battle at the front. All of these drivers run within a second and a half of each other, if my maths is mathing. I can just check that, but yes, this 1.2 separating the leader in P5 at the moment. Cornell is going to probably concede position in the turn 3. I don't think he's going to get the DRS though. I think Cryptic has played it, so he would still get the DRS, and he has. He's managed to overtake Cornell just after the DRS line, which is going to leave Cornell very vulnerable to Tom, who clears him before the break. No, he doesn't. And he's just on the inside. There's a bit squeezing there, but both drivers coming out with minimal contact. I actually don't think there's any. But Cornell keeps that car on the inside and just forces Tom to bail out of that move. I'd imagine it must be frustrating for the Alfa Romeo driver, getting stuck behind all of these Merc Academy cars who are probably going to be working together at this point. But the field spread, again, this is starting to get, it's starting to spread out a little bit now. Mainly the gap between the two trains is increasing bit by bit every lap. 4.3 between Spenny and Kai. Both drivers need massive ERS strengths, as Maldi gets 3 seconds. He is down in P14 at the moment. It's not what the AlphaTauri driver would be wanting. Would be wanting to try and keep within the white lines and capitalise on penalties, as it does not look like he's going to be making too much up on pace at this current moment in time. But Cornell's going to he's not going to be close enough to look for a move in the turn 4, I don't think, this lap. But as we look behind, no moves going to be taking place there. As Philo, though, is going to be looking for a move in turn 4. As Kai tries to dive around the outside, doesn't quite make it stick. I think he may have a bit of a lock up there. That's not going to be good for them tyres. They're already going to be pretty worn at this stage of the race. So he's going to really want to try and avoid locking up and just increasing that wear. Just see now whether some drivers will actually start to come into the pits. I just don't think anyone's going to pit this lap, but maybe in the next coming lap we might see some of the strategy calls be made, and some of them might just come in. I think the only pit stops so far have been from damage. As Packer fan, the first medium runner to pit without damage, he's followed into the pits by Stefan in the Red Bull. He gets 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. This has not been a great race so far, as we're having a massive battle in the turn 3 there. All 5 cars are getting really, really close together. It's almost like procession. And it's just the front 3 constantly interchanging. But this DRS trim is going to have to be doing wonders for tyre wear at the moment. I mean, it'd be interesting maybe if someone is going to try and play the long game, maybe even go medium soft. I'd imagine the hard runners can maybe try go hard soft, but I'd say a medium soft be near impossible without some serious tyre whispering. But I feel bad, so it's good right on both some of the midfield battles, because I feel like they're getting a bit neglected because this battle is taking place up at the front. Just right on board with them for this lap, see if we see any moves being made, as Phil's going to be right on the rear diffuser Matthew. He might actually be able to look at the move in the turn 1. He's going to think better of it, he's going to be like, oh, I'm going to wait until turn 3. That's going to be the better overtaking opportunity. as Cryptic is in the P2, lead has swapped around again. Phil is going to overtake before turn 3, so he's not going to wait for that extra DRS. Matthew is still right behind the Haas driver, who's got Kai in the Alpine right on his rear diffuser. None of the drivers burning at the moment, and Phil's going to be under pressure in turn 4 because no one's going to be close enough to go for a move. Although Kai is braking really that he's trying to see if he can pick up scraps from anything in front. Side FX up in the P8, it's pretty solid race from the Ferrari driver so far, as he was starting I want to say it's like P13 or something after a not so great qualifying for side. Was he the reigning tier 2 champion? I think he's actually 2-time tier 2 champion because he won the season before it, as well. As Kai is the first medium runner out of that train to jump into the pit lane. He's followed by the Haas of Ladamala. He's back towards front again. Cornell's not going to be close enough in the turn 3, so the lead's going to stay with Cryptic for now. Tom's going to get a better run out of turn 3 though, I think, as he's going to use a bit of that ERS, and he's going to look for the inside line in the turn 4, which is not always the best line, and he's not going to be able to make it stick through turn 4, but he might try and come down into turn 6 maybe. But he's not going to be close enough to try and keep that car up around the outside, as Phil is now leading that second train from P5 onwards. As Spenny pit, and I actually didn't notice that, but the first of the top 5 to pit, and he's opted to go for a conventional medium hard strategy. He's going to try and take these hards to the end, I'd imagine, as Tom's had an instant, and that's a reset the track, so that's going to be a time penalty for Tom. I imagine that's going to go to Shears afterwards, but that's just really unfortunate. It's a really strong race up until that point. I just managed to just get maybe a little bit of contact. I didn't quite catch what had happened on the stream. It's a great stream where I am. I managed to miss all the good stuff. But it's right on board with Cornell. Without Tom in the picture, it's not shame it's going to be a 2-car battle for the lead. And I'd imagine the 2 drivers are going to see the benefit of just swapping DRS now. Obviously, Tom is into the pits. After that, the instant he's opted to go and make a strategy call to try and take the hards to the end. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not the hard runners are going to try and extend for softs, or if they are going to opt for the medium tire. Even if they go for the mediums, I think they are still going to have a bit of a tire advantage over the likes of Tom, who are trying to extend. But Tom will have that undercut. We'll see how well he can make that undercut work. As we'll go to leader interval until the pit windows, as I think a pit stop at Austria is around 18 seconds, give or take. As Phil's in the pit, same with Matthew. The 2 cars that are battling at the front of that train are coming into the box this lap, as Phil's going for mediums, same with Matthew. Both, I think, hard runners have come in the pit. That's be interesting strategy. There's not too many battles now. Actually no, there is battles. I'm on leader interval. I'm not the brightest individual seemingly, but Tom 26 seconds behind. He's going to have to gain about 8 seconds before the pit window to try and come back out in front of Cryptic. Obviously he will have to try and recover for that spin. It's lapping about 8 attempts off his lap times previous to these. Actually, it might be more than 8 attempts when he comes across the line. As we come back on board, try and find, I think this closest battle on track is going to be Tom and his teammate, both drivers who are only out of the box. I don't know if Tom's making safe position to sit behind his teammate, but imagine if Tom is looking to get past, I'd assume there's going to be some team orders going to come into play in the Alfa Romeo garage, as Tom's going to be looking to try and make his way back to front, as Runnard has pit the other Aston Martin pitting from the top 5. He's opted for the medium compound. He's gone hard medium. But Cryptic, Cornell and Dino all staying out. Dino's led him. If he can maintain position, he's led quite impressive race. I think he has then to the point where he's going to drop down to maybe P10, 11, where he comes back out, but he will have that tyre advantage, and we have to keep an eye on that AlphaTauri driver, see what he can make up later on in the race. As Phil on the mediums, he's come back up behind Kai, the Alpine who spent a number of the previous lap battling with in that DRS train, but now, outside of the DRS train, it's going to see whether Phil can show who has more pace than that Alpine and try and clear, especially on the faster compounded tyres and a younger set of tyres than the driver in front, as both of them will probably look to make a bit of a gain on the runner to the front. To be honest, now with the undercut he's dropped from his teammate, as Cryptic and Cornell both battling in turn 3 for a lead. I think the gloves have finally come off a bit, but Cryptic has got the DRS, I think. No, he hasn't, as no one's got the DRS, but Cryptic has a lot more barrier. He has a lot less barrier than Cornell, but Cornell's opted not to burn it, as Cornell is sitting in a massive amount of DRS at the moment, as Spenny has now cleared the Ferrari of Side FX. Side 20 laps deep on those mediums. I think there's a bit of an interesting strategy coming into play. I mean, if it doesn't work, some may call it a Ferrari strategy, but it'd be interesting to see whether he can make something work with that. As the closest battle, actually Cryptic comes into the pits now. I think he's going to go for mediums, locks up his tyres massively into the pits there. And he is going to go for the yellow wall compounded tyres, 60% DRS. He's going to come back out of the pits about 70%. And if you look for where Tom is going to be in reference to Cryptic, I think Tom might actually get a really solid undercut. As we ride on board with Cryptic, as Tom's coming around turn 1 now, he's not going to be right up with him, but he is going to be close enough behind. Probably a lot closer than he would have been beforehand after that spin. But with the tyre advantage, I don't think it's going to be enough for Tom to try and get front, as Maldi pulls another 3-second time penalty down in P17. It's not a great, it's just not a great risk for the Tier 2 reserve. As we go back on board Phil, I don't know why I'm switching off unless probably the closest battle we have on track at the moment. We're going to look at Cornell now. Cornell, I think, is going to, yeah, he is going to come into the pits on this lap. And if we ride on board Cryptic, see whether or not he's going to have a bit of an undercut in those tyres. But with Cornell having that extra lap, even the smallest of tyre advantages at the end could be massive. As Cryptic now rounding the final corner, and Cornell's still in the pit box, as there's actually an incident in Sector 3. Stefan in the Red Bull is round, but that's not going to be a safety car, as he has got the car going. And Spenny in the lead of this race. That undercut that Spenny did was massive. And now it's just going to be interesting to see the pace difference between the hards and the mediums, and whether or not Spenny's going to be able to try and maintain that lead. But I don't think he's going to be able to manage with the likes of Cryptic. Cryptic is only, what, 5 seconds behind them now? 5.5 on a fresh set of mediums. 6 laps younger, faster compound. Obviously the hards might still have a little bit of an advantage at the end, but I'm not quite sure it's going to be enough, as Tom and Cornell now are battling. Cornell's now falling right back as 3 wide in the turn 6. And is that Tom? Yes. No, that's Matthew's round this time. That's the Alfa Romeo. This is the nightmare race for the Alfa Romeo drivers. Both getting caught up in instance, both going round. I don't think 3 wide into that corner was ever going to work. I don't know what they were thinking, even attempting that. Like, the thought of that shouldn't even come into the driver's head. So I don't know why they've attempted it, but it's not ended well, and Matthew's paid the price. And it's going to be interesting to see whether we're going to see that come up in the steerage room after the race, as Dino looks the inside, thinks better of it. He's like, just not going to risk his race over that, as he is on much older tyres. He has no reason to try and go for that dive. But Philo is now in the play with a bit of an undercut. He's within the DRS of Cryptic, but I imagine Cryptic should be able to pull away with an ERS advantage and a tyre advantage. But Philo leading pretty solid race so far in the Haas. He didn't have the best of starts, but he's certainly showing really good pace now throughout the race. Although he has had a bit of an issue with understanding where the white lines are Although I'd imagine they might camouflage into his car, considering they're both white, but 9 seconds penalty is not really what he's going to be wanting, as Cryptic has just cleared Dino. And Ko is now going to be on the back of Dino. That's going to give Cryptic a bit of breathing room now, as he comes up behind Runner, and we now see the same three drivers that were battling for the lead earlier on in the race. Although the two Aston Martins in the original train did not look like they were going to be the front runners of it. But now it's 2.6 seconds, 2.7 the gap between Spenny and Cryptic. Runner has a 3-second time penalty and slashing in the ERS, so I can imagine he's not going to look to battle Cryptic when Cryptic comes through. It's not really going to be worth it to him, Cryptic, or really to anyone in this current situation. As we look behind, see if any moves being made. Tom is now 4 tenths behind Cornell. They're still battling. I mean, Cornell could have the possibility of a time penalty if he is deemed at fault for that incident, although I did not quite see enough to think of who's at fault, as Phil doesn't see the white lines again. It's 12 seconds of penalties now. And it's really not going great for him. It's definitely not going great for him now, as he is oversteered out of the final corner, and that's going to be a safety car. And that is going to bring a lot of strategy into play. It's going to be interesting to see if... Actually, there's a number of drivers now coming in the pits. P8 onwards, all coming into the pits now. And I think they're going to go for softs. Softs can go 10 laps. As Mafio is... Yeah, Mafio's going soft. Packer's going soft. I think everyone is coming into the pits for softs now. And that could completely change up the running order now. But we do have a bit of a gap between the... There's a 26-second gap between Matthew and the cars in front. I think the cars, like the front runners, might just get away with the fact that there's Delta. It's going to keep that neutralised for now, as the leader hasn't picked up the safety car, but this could have played out massively. And this could still have massive implications on the final result of the race, as drivers like Silent Pistol now, who might have been out of it on strategy, are now brought completely back into this. Silent was showing some decent pace at the start of the race. For being in tier 2, he's up in tier 1. He's shown, even last week, he showed some strong pace at the start. But he did get caught in an incident with Artie Moreno, who has now DNF'd. He's going to be back into it. Cornell is in the pits as well, and yep, so I think the running order now is going to stay the same, as we now have 15 cars left in the running, all on softs, and this is going to be all out battling for these last, I think we're going to get 8 laps of racing. After, if the safety car comes in this lap, I think it might not come in until next, so we might only get 7 laps of racing. But it's going to be 7 laps of just all-out battling. And hopefully we can keep it clean. It's not good to see a driver's race get ended in that fashion. As we have a look at the warnings now. Spenny has 1 warning. Actually, Spenny has 3 warnings seemingly. I can only see once for collision, but he's gonna be on the verge of 3 seconds soon. Cryptic has 2 warnings. Runnard has got his 3 warnings to go on the penalty. And Dino at the moment is on his 3 warnings to go on the penalty. Actually, someone's gone under radar a little bit. Dino Oaks up in the P4. That's been a massive race for him, as that safety car's really brought him into play. Up 11 positions. He started in P15. I mean, to go from P15 up to P4, if he can maintain this position till the end, that's going to be a massive drive from the AlphaTauri. I dare say he's going to be in with a pretty good shout for driver of the day as well. I mean, we cannot fault the recovery drive like that. He did not have the best qualifying. Actually, both AlphaTauris really did not have a great qualifying, but he's making the most of the recovery drive. He's taking that opportunity. He's been given, he's grabbed it with two hands, and though he does have a penalty at the moment, I'd imagine, I think Spenny's on 2 and Cryptic was on 2, so it could all just even out in the end. And even with Stewart's room penalties at the end, I think there has been a couple of little incidents at the front that might get looked at. It's going to be interesting to see at the end of this where we're standing. I think the safety car might come in at the end of that. We're going to hope it does, because we want as much racing as possible, but I think it might just be too late for it to come in, as Maldi is going to spoil the crack and keep us out for another lap. Nope, he hasn't actually, as safety car has been called in very late. But we are going to get that lap of racing, as we're going to ride on board with Spenny for this restart. As you can see, maybe we can catch out the driver behind us. He's gone pretty early, and he's got 4 attempts to Cryptic, but he has not shaken him. Cryptic still keeping with him, is actually gaining up into turn 1. Kai has got Cornell over back from Dino, has dropped back a little bit from Runnard. We're not really seeing any moves being made at the moment. As the Cornell's going up the inside in turn 3, and he goes a bit deep, and he's almost squeezing the Alpine out. I'd imagine that might not have been that car's width space that he is required to give the car, but they're both going to go side by side in the turn 4. There's a little bit of contact as Cornell locks up and goes a bit deep. I've nearly seen some moves reminiscent of Hamilton Albon there, or even Russell and Perez in 22. But luckily both drivers still on the track. There's minimal implications coming from that contact. Was around penultimate corner. We do go on to that 30. It's going to be giving us 6 laps left of this race, as EQR Piztem has joined. I don't know who that bloke is, but it has Cryptic. Actually gets up in the lead before turn 1. Obviously, no DRS as of right now, so Cryptic's going to look to push and try and gap Spenny. But Spenny might get, he's going to pick up the slipstream. He might come back down in the turn 3. He does not go for it this time. Will he get better run though and try and maybe make a move in turn 4 as Cryptic's burning? Cryptic gets a really good exit, and he's going to be safe from Spenny for this lap. As we look behind, there's no real movement being made. I mean, we have to feel for as well. Tom, man, he was fighting at the front that first stint, but it's that incident he's just not been able to recover, especially with safety car, has just hindered any chance he really had at getting back up. Obviously, we have very little field spread at the moment, so he can still pull something. Hope he will pull something, but I have a feeling it will not be what could have been, as Maldi has seemingly forgotten where the white lines are, because I think how many penalties that? It's 9 seconds now. He's joint second most on the grid, as Cryptic has set the fastest lap of the race. He's got a 5-10 gap to Spenny, and that's going to be DRS enabled this lap, but Spenny gets rear wing wide open. Cryptic, I'd imagine, might have actually been trying to push for braking DRS, but he was not able to do it. And we're going to see probably DRS turn right to the end now, as Dino is still maintaining that P4. He's doing a really good job this race, as that's a big move against Kai and Cornell. As Kai goes around the outside, he keeps the position. Both drivers getting a bit close, and they're leaving absolutely nothing against each other on the track. As we look back towards the front, Spenny 5 times the gap again. He's just struggling to keep it up with the sheer pace of Cryptic in front, as Cryptic is burning. Spenny has a bit more ERS. He's hoping he might be able to use that ERS in the last lap, as Cryptic obviously is burning a bit more than him. As Cryptic is getting very close to the track limit, he might actually end up picking up a warning before the end of this race. But as we look, Tom actually gets moved on Cornell, Cornell's still on the outside, and he's going to maybe come back at him in the turn 4. As he gets the DRS, he gets the ERS. He's going to use that slipstream. Is he going to be close enough to maybe look for a move? Tom looks for the move on the inside of the Alpine, and Cornell actually rear ends Tom and nearly sends him into the Alpine. And really, really dicey racing there from the Williams, as the Alpine nearly getting collected in something that they really weren't involved in. But Cryptic's now got 8th to 10th gap at the end. Cornell's still right on the back of Tom, and Spenny gets 3 seconds, and that is massive in terms of deciding the race now. Because if Cryptic, he doesn't even need to win on track, if he keeps it between the white lines, everyone down to Tom and P6 is on the 3-second penalty. Actually, as of right now, I think Tom would be net P4, but as he goes up the inside of Kai in the turn 3, make sure he has no room to come back on at the outside, but he is going to have pressure from the Alpine, as he does have DRS, but Tom has a lot more ERS. He burns a little bit, and he's going to be clear in the turn 4, and as Tom's going to try and probably push it down, as a bit of a moment out of turn 4. He's almost pushing a little bit too much there, but he managed to keep P5. He might just be under threat on this next lap though from the Alpine with Kai again. As we look at Packer Fan and Cal both running quite close with each other. I think Cal's actually tier 2, if it's the same Cal I'm thinking about. He's not doing too bad. Silent Pistol is in P14. But as we look at the battles again, Ronard's now coming up with his teammate, and he's probably going to look at the inside now. And he does look at the inside, but they're both going to put Cryptic under threat. Ronard up the inside, forces Cryptic out. He has just enough room on the outside, but will he have DRS? No, he won't. He's going to be under pressure now from both Aston Martins. As one Aston Martin gets through, Spenny not able to capitalise this lap, but he might be able to get him next lap. And Cryptic's going to have to be really careful with this battle as to not go over the white line. So look at the cars battling behind. Tom has lost position to Kai again, which suspected he would be under threat in the DRS. But now Kai has had the opportunity to recharge the battery, and there's not as much of the ERS advantage as there was before. But Tom, obviously no penalties, he's going to be able to use that disadvantage. But if you look back towards the front, Ronald has an ERS advantage with Cryptic. Although Cryptic does not have any penalties, but if he were to pick anything up in these next couple of laps, it could be catastrophic for his race. But he's going to have the DRS wide open. He's going to try and put Ronald under pressure in the turn 4 probably. So he's not going to be close enough in the turn 3. But look, Tom has cleared the Alpine again. And 1.9 now, the gap between Tom and Dino was previously 2 seconds. Kai's going to have DRS open though. He's going to look for the move in the turn 4 again. He gets that inside line. Tom tries to hang around the outside, but this will give him the inside line for the next corner if he can keep it around the outside, but he does not. The Alpine gets clear of Tom again, and this must be really frustrating for Tom. He's getting held up in this battle, and he's going to be wanting to try and push as much as he can to try and capitalise on those penalties in front. But as we look at Cryptic, trying to keep it nice and tidy track limits, run right out to the white line on that final corner. So he might want to be a little bit more safe, especially if the fact that he only has one warning left. He's taking a lot of that exit curb, which you don't see a lot of drivers doing usually. He's not going to close up turn 3 again, but this time I don't even know if he's going to have enough ERS to capitalise in turn 4. As he does get a really, really good run out of turn 3. Not going to be able to do anything with it, but Tom in another battle with the Alpine driver of Kai, and now Mafio, Tom's teammate, is going to come into the fray. But I'd imagine Mafio, as Tom's teammate, is probably going to try and just attack Kai and maybe take the pressure off of Tom in front, as Side has Callum, I think, for P10. As we stay on board with this battle at the front, Kai 3 attempts from Tom, Mafio 3 attempts from Kai. Mafia though is running low on fuel, but this is the last lap of the race. As we look, coming around the final turn now, and it's going to be Cryptic is going to win the Tier 1 Austrian Grand Prix, and that's going to be a huge result in the driver's standings now, as that is going to bring, I think Cryptic is going to be up in the P1. Same with Runners, another huge result in the driver's standings, as I think they are both 1-2 in the driver's standings now. Obviously this is all going to be before the steerage room, it tends to be a little bit hectic in there, but it's really solid drive from Cryptic today as he did control the race. As Cornell has retired after the session ended, I imagine that might screw up the results a bit. He left session as AI's retired him, but we've done too much. But the driver will have to really take note of Day. Dynamics in the AlphaTauri's pulled off a really good recovery drive. Coming from P15 up to P5, obviously with penalties, things could still change. But even if they don't change, 10 positions gained in that race in such a competitive grid, it's really solid drive from the AlphaTauri man. But as we look at the results, we've got Cryptic in P1, Runnard in P2, and then Spenny in P3 to round out the podium. I think that's going to be all for racing this week. I think my pick for driver day is going to have to be Dynamics. Really impressive drive from the AlphaTauri, but it's going to be all for racing in PAR this week. Just double check. I think we're going to be back with the F2 on... Actually, we're back with the Realistic on Wednesday. And that's going to be... Let's double check the wee track there. Realistic this week will be racing in Singapore. So that should probably be an interesting race, shall we say. Usually the number of safety cars. But we shall see then.